We haven't seen that many people since then, which is kind of crazy. Yeah. So we are 3 weeks, 1 day into quarantine. We both got laid off. That's not great.
Baking, of course. You gotta bake. You're in quarantine. What else are you gonna do?
I was always the one to find myself lost in long conversations.
Hi, and welcome back to my channel. Today's video is a little bit different than normal. With everything going on, we thought it would be a good idea to kind of record our thoughts during this time. As you probably know, we are writing history right now. There's no doubt that this period of time will be in the history books. And we just want to document and remember how we were feeling during this time and give you a taste of what life is like for us since quarantining. So here is the couple quarantine tag, which is something I just kind of made up, and I wrote down some questions, but hopefully you can also do it, because I know it's comforting to see how other people are handling this time in their life and just kind of know what it's like in different parts of the world. So let's get into it. So first question, how long have you been quarantined together?
Well, we're just over 3 weeks now. Mm-hmm. And it seems actually, oddly enough, that time is going faster, I think, which is weird.
Yeah.
Going really fast, you know? The list of things that we've had on our plate, I think,
yeah,
they seem to still be there, which is weird because we do have a lot of time on our hands.
A lot of things still left to do.
But there's still things that you notice now more, I think, having more time on your hands.
So today we're filming this on April 6th, and we started quarantining March 15th. So we are 3 weeks, 1 day into quarantine.
Crazy.
Yeah. Where are you quarantining? So we are quarantining in our home. We are located in Ontario, Canada, and it hasn't been a shelter in place or anything like that yet. It is, you are still able to go to the grocery store, to the pharmacy. There's a couple other businesses open for like takeout and stuff like that. The spas and things in that realm closed last week.
Yeah.
So we are still able to go for runs and go for walks, although in Ontario, at least near us, a lot of the parks, the dog parks, the trails are closed. The conservation area closed last week, but we do have a waterfront trail that's still open here, and we've just been running on the road. So we are still able to get out for exercise and walks, which has been super, super helpful. I don't know how I don't know how we would handle a shelter in place, but I do know a lot of people are already in that situation. So we're lucky enough to not be there yet. Hopefully everything stays flattened so we can keep going outside.
Yeah, let's hope so.
All right, third question. When and where was the last time you were in public?
Let's see.
Other than the grocery store.
Last time that wasn't the grocery store was 3 weeks ago. Just before this whole thing kind of erupted.
March 15th, yeah.
March 15th there. We had odd vibes that weekend. It was kind of like a should we, shouldn't we?
Yeah.
Like there was already a lot of hesitation. Family was already skeptical. My family in particular, you know, were kind of giving out some like, judgment.
You probably shouldn't.
Yeah, like why are you going out? At the time though, we didn't really know better. We thought like
things weren't closed yet. Yeah. So we went down to Toronto for a friend's birthday, and we actually stayed at a hotel that weekend. We went to a gym tour, we went to a dog park the next day, we went to a brewery the next day, and it was packed. Like,
yeah, people were still living.
Yeah, there were a ton of people in the brewery. Luckily, we did a private gym tour, so it was just like our immediate group in that. And then we didn't go out to a bar or anything after. We just went back to an apartment, so that was fine. But that's the last time we were with people, like that many people. I think there were 15 to 20 of us.
Yeah.
we haven't seen that many people since then, which is kind of crazy.
Yeah, and even looking back on that, I mean, we had one friend that came back from traveling, and
it wasn't mandatory quarantining at that time.
No.
And we'll get to that later.
We'll get to that.
Fourth question: how has life been different since quarantine?
Let's see.
Well, we both got laid off.
Yep.
So at different times, I got laid off March 20th, and you got laid off March 29th?
27th?
27th. So that's very different. I worked from home, so that part of my life wasn't different at all. Like, I'm so used to working at home, and honestly used to like running outside as my workout. Orange Theory got canceled, and that was something I loved doing. But other than not seeing friends and family, that would be the biggest part. But then when I lost my job, that has changed a lot, because I don't have like that structured routine of this is what I'm doing every day, which I really miss. Like, I wish I could work right now, and I'm sure you do too. But what has been different for you?
Well, I mean, I think you touched on it a lot there. The daily regimen is gone. Working remotely and stuff, it's kind of, changed. You were in a fitness industry that largely relied on expos and, traveling in that way.
Oh yeah, that's two things. I was supposed to go to Ohio for work for the Arnold. That got canceled. And then I was supposed to go to Germany for the Fit Expo at the end of March, which obviously got canceled. So those are two. It's very weird to go from like two really big opportunities at work to actually no job. Like, from almost feeling like actually having gotten a promotion to being laid off. And you have been working on your pilot's license. So yeah,
one of the big hobbies I was taking on was tackling the pilot's license, because trying to go career-wise on that. And obviously that's now full stop, which, I've been able to make the most of it with the simulator at home, flying here, but
yeah, you'll have to explain
it's
that.
Not the same. Yeah, it's not.
You bought
thing. As soon as this started going down, I knew I had to keep up my training. So basically, I went all in on got a nice little computer and
virtual reality.
The virtual reality to make sure that I could experience the plane firsthand. It's not the same, but it is a very close second.
It's the best you can do right now.
Plus, you can mix up the planes, so I can evolve with my training as we go.
The only problem with that is that it doesn't count towards his hours, so he will be delayed in getting his license now by however long this lasts. So when was your last flight?
Last flight was actually the day before everything went hard kind of stop, or at least, when was that? That would have been...
Was it after Tara's birthday?
It was the Thursday after, so that would have been March 8th?
March 19th?
19th?
Yeah, March 19th.
It was either then or the week before. I can't recall now. I think
probably then. So that kind of gets into our next question of what has been canceled for you. So we were actually supposed to go on a Mexican trip.
Trip to Mexico?
A trip to Mexico on March 20th for my birthday. So we were supposed to be gone for the 20th to the 27th. And up until, quite honestly, like 2 days before, they weren't saying that you couldn't go. We had a lot of people in our circles going to Mexico, and we had friends already there and traveling and all over the place. And it was at that point like a recommendation / like be more careful, bring Lysol, that kind of thing. But it wasn't don't go. Our families were very much don't go, but it wasn't coming from the government until the night before. Then all travel in Canada, what was it? All non-essential travel in Canada at that point.
I believe you,
Yeah, and then fast forward like 5 days, and then we closed the border with the US and everybody else.
Yeah, and even like we ended up canceling on our own free will before it got to that point. We called in, got at that point we were with Air Transat, and they were giving out essentially a free credit that could be used to your total voucher amount or whatever up to a year. So that was pretty good at the time. And then 3 days later, they ended up doing a hard stop on that. So our trip would have been canceled regardless.
Automatically.
Yeah.
Which we stayed on the phone for how many hours to cancel?
I started on the phone with Expedia at about 8 o'clock at night. I figured, okay, let's let the time, I knew they were kind of busy with everything going down.
And you couldn't call in. You couldn't call in unless you were traveling within 72 hours.
Yeah.
That was like their stipulation. So only if you were traveling immediately.
Yeah. But yeah, started at like 8, 9 o'clock. And basically I was on the phone till about 3 or 4 a.m. And I
think we fell asleep with it on.
We kept falling in and out of sleep. Yeah. And I woke up the next morning. I hung up that night, woke up the next morning, and somehow they must have rolled in a new feature. Basically, we'll call you back. And that took, I think, 4 hours or something to get a call back. But at least that worked.
And now, are they still saying you only have a year to use the vacation, or have they extended it?
We didn't get any notice that ours has been extended, but Air Transat did say that they can use it now for up to 2 years.
2 years.
For anyone from our dates up to like the end of April or whatever.
Right.
That booked before this was all known.
Yeah, that's important. We didn't book well knowing about the coronavirus, and I know because travel prices dipped so much during that, there were people who booked last minute trips after hearing all this because it was so much cheaper. And then like if you're not from Canada, you might not know, but our government actually paid to bring those people back, and it was kind of put out there like all Canadians must return home. And then they started sending, they called them rescue planes, emergency rescue planes.
Yeah.
What did your flight instructor say?
I'm trying to recall. But essentially, yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah, I think it was a rescue plane. So like people's trips did get cut short once this started, which is only 2 days after we were supposed to leave. So even if we didn't cancel our trip and went, we would have been coming home on an emergency flight.
Yeah.
So
it would have sucked.
Yeah. At that point, though, there was really no cases in Mexico. They were still like doing soccer games and stuff.
Well, there was hardly any cases in Canada too.
And we kept looking at the resort Instagram stories, and we just saw all these people enjoying their trip like life was normal, which made us like consider it more, because we're like, but everything seems fine.
Yeah.
Everything seems good.
You don't realize, I guess that's the thing.
We just really wanted to go.
And we
really wanted to go. This would have been our first all-inclusive together, so we were just excited.
Yeah. Oh.
It was supposed to be a month of travel between work and that.
Yeah.
And
that's all
gone.
Stuff.
I should mention the Arnold did get canceled, and that was supposed to be.
That was a big.
I was supposed to leave March 2nd, so that kind of puts it into perspective. No, that got canceled not because of airplane. What am I trying to say? That got canceled not because of the airlines or government saying you couldn't go, but that was a choice by the expo to cancel it.
Yeah,
so
by Arnold Schwarzenegger himself.
What has been your favorite thing to do while in quarantine?
Well, what do you think? Get your mind out of the gutter.
I don't know, you go first.
Well, I mean, flying the simulator has been a big thing. I spent a couple of days actually building that computer, so that was cool.
That was pretty cool.
That was cool. Good learning experience.
Baking.
Baking, of course. You gotta bake. You're in quarantine. What else are you gonna do?
I don't understand it. It's a trend, but like there's memes out there being like, I'm now in the baking stage of quarantine, and Kyle has made so much. What have you made? Tell them what you've made.
Let's see. I made a couple of loaves. One whole wheat, one everything. The next on my list is kind of a jalapeno cheddar. Then I've got, I've made chocolate croissants. Oh, what
Cinnamon
else?
buns.
Oh, cinnamon buns. Yeah, it just
We're
kinda-
gaining weight in quarantine.
But we're running.
Yeah.
We're running.
Yeah. I think my
yeah.
favorite thing would honestly be having like stress-free downtime, because from working from home, it was kind of hard to turn off the computer or turn off your mind and relax, because there was always something to do. But quite literally, like, there is nothing that I have to do. I have a few jobs, like I'm a dance instructor, write for a magazine, we have a marketing client, and then I had my full-time job, and everything is shut down. So it's the first time I've actually been able to have stress-free quality time with you without having to worry about it, which that was kind of a weird thing that I had said prior to this all happening. Is the thing I was looking forward to the most in Mexico was being together, and I said I wanted to be bored, because we always go on like trips and stuff where we're running around and we're trying to hit all these destinations and sightsee and like more traveling. So I wanted to do an all-inclusive to sit and be bored and read a book cover to cover, and like that is what we're doing, just without the tropical temperature.
So you can blame her for your quarantine.
Next question, what have you been watching?
Well, we've done pretty well, actually. We've knocked a few movies off our list, I'd say.
A lot of new movies. So we watched Onward, that came out on Disney Plus, and we loved it. We watched Bad Boys 3.
Bad Boys for Life, yeah.
What else did we watch?
What else did we watch? Bombshell. Bombshell was really good.
Bombshell, yeah.
Aeronauts. The Aeronauts. How I Met Your Mother. We've been binging that on Netflix.
Yeah.
Good.
So those were all movies. I think we like movies more just because we're not really into a show. But How I Met Your Mother, we have been
It's an easy one.
rewatching it and just watching a couple episodes at a time. We haven't had like a full binge day.
No, there hasn't been. We haven't done the Tiger King yet. That's not really something that we.
I don't know.
But
We
you
don't
know,
know
peer
if we-
pressure might get to us. Who knows?
Yeah. People say it's addicting, but it just looks weird.
Yeah.
But yeah, How I Met Your Mother, definitely watch that if you haven't. And then, yeah, the Kingmaker documentary. I've been into documentaries.
Oh, the Kingmaker was really good. Yeah.
And also the new Dolphin documentary by Disney just came out, and that one was really good too.
Yeah.
We're trying not to watch TV during the day.
Yeah, that's been the big thing.
Yeah.
For sure. Yep.
Highly recommend that to try to
Stay busy during the day.
Stay normal.
Yeah.
Next question. What is your favorite way to work out during quarantine?
Well, with all the gyms being closed, I transitioned to the home gym solution at the parents' place a little bit ago, and then once we went into full quarantine, they cut us off cold turkey, and
Yeah, we should say we're not seeing immediate family right now. We're not seeing anybody, so
we're pretty much
we can't use their home
full
gym.
isolation. Yeah. Yeah. So no weights or anything like that. But you've been dragging me along on your runs. Mix, obviously a huge runner, and she's been dragging me literally to go with her.
We've been doing different running plans too. Like, we're not just like going out for a run. We're doing specific running programs to kind of keep things interesting. So hill repeats or speeding up 10 seconds per kilometer throughout your run, just like little different challenges. Today, fastest 5K you can do, which you still have to do.
I still have to do it.
You should try it and see what your time is.
I think I will.
Yeah. Anyway, and then I've been liking the Tone It Up workouts at home. Their app is completely free right now, and I've been loving Tone It Up since like 2015. But if you wanted to give it a try, their app is free for 2 months right now, and you don't need to sign up with a credit card or anything. And they have everything from like bar workouts to yoga to like body weight only workouts. So depending on what you have and what your interests are, you can definitely find something on there.
Yeah, for sure.
Next question. Who do you want to see as soon as quarantine is over?
Well, I think we're long overdue to see your family.
We haven't seen mine.
Her parents were traveling just before the quarantine started, so they were about gone for what, close to 2 months, I'd say.
Yeah, we haven't seen them since Boxing Day.
Yeah, Boxing Day. So
I need to see my family.
They're due, and then we've got actually a couple family members, one on my side, one on her side, that actually do have COVID-19, and so they're probably on our list to make our rounds out that way as well. I think that's the closest it's hit to home at the moment.
Yeah. Once this is all over, we'll definitely want to give them big hugs. And we've got 2 nephews who are under 1, so we haven't been able to pick them up in
months.
So
what feels like
it's like they're just growing up over FaceTime, and it's kind of crazy to see how big they've gotten since the last time I guess we've actually hung out with them and picked them up would have been in Disney in January.
Yeah.
Because then they were gone again.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I would say those are the 2 big ones. And then our grandparents. So my grandma and his grandpa are both older, so they have been completely isolated. My grandma's in the seniors home, so she's on complete lockdown. And then your grandpa lives on his own, but we're just too terrified to even go see him.
Yeah.
As
not worth the risk.
You should be. No one should be going to see elderly people. So I think those would be 2 first stops to see them. What store will you want to visit first when this is all over?
I think that's probably more on your list.
Lululemon. and Winners.
Nice. Honestly, just a good old Canadian Tire or Home Depot is always good. There's a few things on the list that we've been dying to do around the house that I gotta get out for. It's not the same if you can't just browse the aisles and stuff. I'm a sporadic shopper, so I like to buy as I go.
You want to buy a new bike too.
New bike. I wish I had that right now during quarantine, but
we'd like to get a couple patio chairs, but it's just too sketchy buying it online, and also you probably can't order that stuff online anymore. In Canada, they're only delivering essentials, so even if you're ordering on Amazon, you're not gonna get puzzles or patio furniture, etc. for
it might just be a while.
It'll be months kind of thing. Next question, what is the first date you will have as a couple when this is all over?
Well, I mean, since we hardly have any time together right now. No. I don't know. What do you think? Probably just a good restaurant. Maybe even a movie theater would be nice. Cause,
I think
we
also
love our movie nights.
Rock climbing. Because we were supposed to go rock climbing the week that everything got closed. Yeah. And then I actually called and canceled because I just didn't feel comfortable. Yeah. And so we have a couple of rock climbing vouchers that I know we need to use. Yeah. Palladium.
We've been wanting to go to open a new
mini golf. Locally. I don't know what our first one. Our first one will probably be restaurant and movie theater.
It'd be nice to, yeah, something like that.
What has been the worst part of quarantining?
Let's see. I mean, lack of. I don't know. What do you think? That's tough. That's a tough question.
I think there's only so much that FaceTime and the house party app and all that stuff can do, and we love hosting. So I would say the worst thing about quarantine thus far for me, other than obviously we both got laid off, that's not great. But the worst part would be this was our first year going to host Easter for the extended family, and obviously that's not happening. So we had gotten decorations, planned a brunch, we were gonna do an Easter egg hunt, so that would probably be the worst part, is just not having like that family and friend in-person connection.
Yeah, I'd agree. That's a big thing. Yeah, we love hosting, we love hugs. So, I mean, both those got put on.
You know what? It's also, too, just like not knowing where other people stand, especially at the beginning. Now we kind of know everyone's on the same page. But at the beginning, for that last time we were out in public, we didn't know if we were supposed to hug anybody. And we didn't. No one really did. But then you felt weird. Like, I just can't wait until we all can just hug each other and not think twice about it. Because it just makes you feel like it's not normal.
Yeah, I agree.
And what is the best thing about quarantine?
Well, there's been a few things on your to-do list that you've been able to crush off. This video, for instance, is something we never would have done. So, I mean, that's... I mean... I don't know if it's good, but I mean, it's something.
We wouldn't do this content without the quarantine, yeah, I think just, like, quality time and, like... It sounds silly, but, like, stopping and smelling the roses. Like, I can't remember the last time we had breakfast just sitting, looking out at the backwater and, like, not rushing through anything.
Yep, I agree with that.
Kyle did a puzzle. Like, there's just, like, little things that
you never would have really done or had the time. Might be on your mind, but you don't actually, like, commit to it.
I've done a couple of virtual painting classes, and I really liked that, and I highly suggest them. There's some ones that you have to pay for, but it's through Yaymaker, and it's just a free Facebook online stream, and she does them like a couple times a week. So if you do have painting stuff already, I highly recommend it. Last question, what is something you've learned about your partner during quarantine?
I learned that, let's see, what have I learned? I already know you pretty well.
There's gotta be something.
There's gotta be something out there. I gotta think about this one. Let's see.
I put him on the spot. He hasn't seen these questions.
I learned that everything you do to take care of the house every day, I've seen that in depth, and that's a tremendous list. So I mean, that makes you feel a little guilty on your end.
My daily, if you haven't seen my daily cleaning video, that's what he's talking about. He didn't know that was happening every day.
Yeah. So I mean,
I don't know.
Yeah. So that let's see. What's something you've learned about me?
I learned that you're a really good baker. I learned that you know how to build a computer.
Apparently. It ran.
And I think I've learned or been reminded just how much you read. You read for hours.
I like to read.
Reads for hours a day. So that's really interesting. But like, other than that, it's kind of interesting because we're in a unique situation where we're already working from home together.
Yeah.
So the only real difference is now we don't have our strict like 9 to 5. I'm not having my video calls, that kind of thing.
There's no regimen anymore.
Yeah. You'd be out flying. I'd be out at the dance studio. Stuff like that.
There's no time apart is actually a big change for sure. Because like before we would have time apart. Like, you know, you don't want to drive each other nuts and like it can happen, you know.
But I do feel like we already knew, like we're not learning a whole new person or anything like that. Like we already knew what it would be like. Whereas some couples have never worked at home together, so I think that their answers to that question might be
quite different.
More interesting than ours. That is all of our questions for the quarantine couple tag. So if you do this video, please let us know. We would love to see what life is like wherever you are. And thank you so much for watching. I hope that we don't have to update this video in a few weeks. I hope everything clears up by then.
Yeah, let's hope.
And that everyone stays safe and healthy. Thanks. Bye.
I was never the one to write up a song for just anyone. I was always the one to find myself lost in long conversations. Oh, 'cause I've always been told that things will